So let's learn about story writing and what is the difference between a good story and a normal story. Let's learn about the same. Stories take one into the world of imaginations. They can be both imaginative and realistic. Some of the popular kinds of story, if I talk about, are fairy tales, thriller stories, inspirational stories, stories from history, yeah, mysteries, mythological, stories of great men, and stories from everyday life. Learning objective. To think about story writing, talk about the important parts of your story. Think about the settings and the characters. To think about your story plans and openings, settings, events, and resolutions. What is setting? A setting is where the story takes place. It could be anywhere, for example, maybe a cottage, haunted house, or even the park. Characters. 2 to 4 characters are enough for a story, for a short story. Yes, how to make them sound real. For example, pirate name, scared face Bob, red beard, the horrible buccaneer of the East. Don't use your friend's name in the story. Use your imagination, use names that people don't use often. Think of funny names if you are doing a humor story. Describe what they look like, who they are, how they move, and maybe how they talk. Show how they feel using adverb and adjectives. For example, tired, angry, excitedly, happily, sadly, curiously. Now pick out 2 characters and write 3 or 4 sentences about them. How do I start a good story? There are 3 different ways to start a story. Dialogue. Sharks shouted the ships, look out, hundreds of them. They seem to be heading our way, cried the captain. So this way we can start by a dialogue, or else we can start with an action, or else we can give a simple beginning. For an example, the sea glistened like a sparkling silver mirror, waves lapped gently at the sides of the Sioux as she sailed silently along in the cool, refreshing breeze, her Jolly Roger flag fluttering limply. Now, how to write an excellent story? These question words are very important and when writing stories. Who, what, how, where, when, and why. The little girl ran quickly to the shop to get some bread at 7 a.m. so her mom can make toast. Means that shows where the action took place, how the action took place. Means somewhere interrogative question is asked and the answer is provided to the reader. Means whatsoever we were talking about here, how to begin, means the first paragraph should be catchy, which attracts the reader's interest with something unusual and unexpected. Thereafter introduce some lively and multifaceted characters and remember to add some qualities according to your plot. And thereafter, when you are narrating the story, ensure that it raises a question to the readers and that belongs either to the personality of the character or the flow going on. Now, use these ways to improve your writing. Alliteration. 2 or more words that start with the same letter. Example, scary spiders. Means use some rhyming scheme or some poetic devices, etc., literary devices, etc. Rhyme, rumble and tumble. Onomatopoeia. Words that sound like things they describe. Example, jangling, tickling, and tinkling coins. Similes, they compare one thing to another and are introduced as like or as. Example, the wet mud was sticky like fudge cake. Metaphors to compare one thing to another but are not introduced by like or as. For example, the wet mud was sticky fudge cake. Means here we need to add. Why we use some literary devices? It makes the story very interesting. Now, what should I include in a good story? Events. An interesting story will contain events. Exciting plot has an unexpected events, a crisis, a problem, and stories can contain more than one problem. Plans could go wrong. There could be an accident, something or someone could get lost, a machine could break down. Means that that provides a turning point. Now, story ending. Explain the result of the event or show how the problem was solved. Here, after the conflict, whatsoever conflict you raise out in the story, now build a climax. The main character understand what hasn't been seen before. Means somewhere like you're concluding the central character. He may win or lose, exposing to the reality of society's reality. Ending usually bring the story round full circle. For example, three scurfy pirates sat gloomily around a table in the Lord Nelson pub. This way I'm starting. Now for ending, the pirates gang made their way down the quay to their favorite pub to celebrate their success. They had earned enough money now to buy a whole year worth of beer and have change. So this way I'm ending the story. The final sentences is as important as opening sentence. It usually sums up all the story's theme or message. For an example, it had been the best day of my life. I'll never forget her. She realized taking part is much more important than winning. Somewhere like you're providing something you moral or something, some message is given at the end. Now storyboard, opening, setting, characters, problem, how is it solved, and ending. And never forget to give a title of the story, then setting where it takes place, then characters, then problem, the conflict, the solving of the problem, and how the story ends. And this is all like in my story what I need to include. Some characters. First of all, I need to give a title, then characters, then context, then solution, some moral, and we need to discuss a moral. And ever remember to use coder, which I've been telling in all the videos and in the classes. What is coder? Like collection of the data, then organizing it, then drafting, then editing and rereading it. Now I hope story writing is clear to everyone, and do give a good beginning to your story and start writing it. And ever remember about the word limit in class 9th and 10th. We generally write story for 150 to 200 words. Sometimes we are given the outline, sometimes we are giving the beginning line, we are given with the beginning line or the end line. And ever use past tense. I hope story writing is clear to you, and for further details read the Brevia also for the same. Thank you.